Good morning, and thank you for tuning in to the Andrew Tate Show, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. We've got a great show for you guys today. We're going to be covering the all-in Cowboys, who have been surprisingly quiet to start free agency. We're also going to be talking about Wembanyama's path to the playoffs next season. We're also going to be diving into a double swiping the rewards card that led to free gas for months, and then a felony theft charge. And then, as always, at the end of the show, we will dive into our oddities of the day. Before we start, I'd like to ask that you guys like and follow the show. Also, we get a number of questions from viewers that come in during the show, so to ensure that your question gets read on the air, I ask that you use the tips and donation link with your question. That link is GSMCPodcast.net. This puts your question at the top of the list so that I can see it, and it also just really helps the show. Hello, Tate. How are you?
Sleepy. I was complaining to Faith that I am so tired today.
Yeah.
I'm like having a hard time getting going. And normally I'm the guy, I'm up early and I'm either up and around or, on my way to the office by 3, 4 in the morning.
Yeah.
Which to mere mortals, that sounds crazy.
To a lot of people, that's not normal.
And so I was telling Faith, I'm like, Faith, I am so tired that I didn't get out of bed till 7:30. And she just kind of laughed at me.
That's not normal for him.
That is, oh my God, that is like so abnormal for me to be like 7:30. No. So struggling a little bit today. You're going to get not my A, not my B. You're going to get my C game. I'm just telling you up front.
I would also like to add that Tate, when he got on the Zoom with me, he was like, "Are you wearing a pajama top?"
Girl, listen.
I
thought Faith was having a pajama jam party or something. I don't know.
I was like, no, I've worn this sweater on the show before. What are you talking about?
See, here's something. Y'all don't realize Faith is party on the bottom, corporate on top.
Faith is nap time on the bottom, corporate on top.
You know what? That sounds kind of bad, That just sounds so wrong. Yes. So we already start out wrong, Faith, here. All right. Anyway, I was just saying, I thought she was going all pajama today, just makeup and hair, but you always look amazing, so it's not like it's like.
Thank you. The bangs keep getting in my eyes this morning, though. They're like stabbing me. So that's fun.
Like the bangs have like. I think we need to have a Twitter page just for the bangs, kind of like Taylor Swift's cat.
Face bangs.
Yeah, and here's the reason why. Taylor Swift's cat made $90 million last year. That's just wrong. That is wrong. I'm trying to get your bangs to make $90. Okay, not 90 million. 90.
90 million would be nice.
90 million, I'm your agent. I'm just going to let you know.
90 million, the show's over and done with.
No, we're just gonna put this bad boy on the road. We're gonna we'll get a big old yacht, and then we'll just go from country to country in the yacht doing the show. What do you think?
I'd love that. That'd be great.
Gosh. All right. So, what do you have for me today?
Okay. So, are you surprised? Dallas Cowboys. First segment of the morning. So the all-in Cowboys have been surprisingly quiet to start free agency. Despite Jerry Jones' all-in declaration, the Cowboys remain surprisingly silent in free agency. Jerry Jones likes to talk to the media, nothing wrong with that. It seems to lead to quotes that follow him around, like when he said at the end of last season that the Cowboys would be all in for the 2024 for a season. What did that mean? For many, saying all in repeatedly means your team is pushing whatever chips it has in the middle of the table for a Super Bowl run, but you can decipher Jones' words however you wish. Jones said, I would anticipate with looking ahead at our key contracts that we'd like to address, we will be all in. I would anticipate we will be all in at the end of this year. So when you say, is there any thought, we will push the hell out of it. It'll be going all in on different people than you've done in the past. We'll be going all in. We've seen some things out of some of the players that we want to be all in on. Yes, I would say that you will see us this coming year not build for the future. It's the best way I've ever said, and that ought to answer a lot of questions. Sounds like the Cowboys were going to be a major player in the free agency, but they have not really done anything with it. Although the free agency doesn't really open until today, sometime in the afternoon, a lot of other teams have pulled some free agents already. So
okay, here's my first off, let me explain something. Do you see what it's like to be a Cowboy, to be a player on the Dallas Cowboys?
Yeah.
He made that one statement, and every time something comes up, free agency. Well, hey, I thought you said you were all in. Yeah. Hey, Jerry, you go to Dak Prescott. Hey, you haven't signed a new contract. Jerry said the Cowboys are all in. It's always this media storm behind the Cowboys. That was a throwaway comment. We're all in. Guess what? Kansas City's all in.
Yeah.
The Ravens are all in. Buffalo's all in. But when Jerry Jones says it, it sticks to you. And first day of free agency, and everyone's like, well, Dallas didn't sign anyone. Oh, we gotta start asking questions. Is this your definition of being all in? You're not signing any big name free agents or things like that, which then kind of, the season hasn't even started and people are asking questions. Then the season starts and keeps on and keeps on. Can you see how by the end of the year, when you're looking in September and October, and you start thinking about all these questions, and now you have a big playoff game, and you're a little tight because all year someone's been asking about, hey, are you guys all in? Hey, it's an all or nothing season for you guys. Can you see why the nerves can get to a team?
Yeah.
It's a different spotlight being, a Cowboy. You can be a Kansas City Chief and keep on winning, date Taylor Swift, but okay, the Taylor Swift thing, okay, that's great. But Jerry Jones saying we're all in has way more legs. Are you noticing this?
Yeah.
It's not Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce anymore. No. But we're all in. It's still the spotlight.
Right. And like when was the statement made? Before how long have we been talking about it?
Right. It just keeps on and keeps on. This is how the pressure, people don't understand the pressure of being a Dallas Cowboy. It just, now think about it. Like by the time playoffs get here and it's like, okay, all year, for a year, we've been answering questions about this. We have to perform, so we're tight. You're tight. You don't have a good playoff game. Next thing you know, you're getting dog walked by the Green Bay Packers, and everyone's everyone's sticking a mic in your face and saying the Cowboys failed and everything else. And that spotlight gets bigger and bigger. No other team in the NFL has that kind of pressure, which makes it different. Now, let's talk about free agency. Dallas has not made any big moves during free agency. In my opinion, the early days of free agency is where fools rush in. They want that big splash. They want that big name guy. They're paying the big dollar contract. And that's the move that you win the offseason on, but it ends up costing you throughout the year. Later in free agency, when calmer heads kind of prevail and you start looking at weapons that you actually need and a cost that you can afford. A lot of teams have destroyed their franchise for years to come by signing that big free agent on day one and day two. And, next thing you know, man, you're stuck with this huge contract. Kind of hate to say this, you look around at like Russell Wilson with the Denver Broncos. Now they got to pay $85 million to see him go play for Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
You don't win the Super Bowl by, landing that big giant name, having that big giant contract. When you look at Kansas City, yes, they re-signed one of their own players, but Kansas City has been one of the most successful franchise over the last 5 years. There hasn't been that big giant splash of a player that they've signed to be all in. The Cowboys are, and I think they're smart. The Cowboys tend to sign their own players. They tend to draft incredibly well. Over the last 20 years, they're the best drafting team in the NFL. Look that up. And you have to, by holding back and not paying a fortune. I saw the Eagles go out and get Saquon Barkley. And it's an interesting spin, but that's a lot of money for a running back, where they didn't need a runner. They didn't need a running back. They had a solid running game, but they made that big splash. I would have taken that money instead of getting a running back, which they already had a solid running game, and maybe fixed up their defensive backfield, which absolutely collapsed at the end of the year. That's what I say the day one is where fools rush in. I don't think it's a good move what they did, even though he's a stud. Now, I do love what the Baltimore Ravens did. The Baltimore Ravens picking up Derrick Henry. The Ravens run the ball and they do it incredibly well. But a lot of that is always Lamar Jackson is the starting is pretty much the starting quarterback and the starting running back. I think it's rare that you get a running back on the Ravens that rush for 500 to 800 yards a year. Rarely ever do you get a 1,000-yard rusher. Bringing Derrick Henry there makes it so that you're not relying so much on Lamar Jackson. I think that was a nice upgrade. I don't know. I don't think the Eagles, by picking up Saquon Barkley, addressed any of their issues. Now, back to the Cowboys. I'm waiting to see how they draft, and later on, what kind of players they pick up. Now, I am curious what they're going to do at the running back position. They only have Deuce Vaughn, which is he's a running back about your size. He's a very short guy, very shifty, solid guy. I'm exaggerating that he's your size, but he is probably the smallest player in the NFL. That's the area where I want to see what they do on the running back game. Are they going to pick up a running back? I thought it was super smart. Yeah, they didn't go out and spend a bunch of money to overspend on a player that had that was going to have very little impact.
Well, I mean,
so what are you going to say?
There's been a lot of money on Dak Prescott right now, so that might be another reason as well.
And that's another thing is trying to figure out until they figure out what they're going to do about Dak.
Mm-hmm.
That tells me a lot.
Yeah.
If they, I've been on the record. I like Dak Prescott a lot. I think he is a top 10 quarterback in the league, but I wouldn't pay him the $60 million a year that he's asking for. But going with the whole thing about the Cowboys being all in, I wish that Jerry would not make these kind of statements because I think the number one thing that has cost the Cowboys from not winning a Super Bowl, it hasn't been the play on the field. I think it's been the pressure that the media has put on them
Mm-hmm.
by way of statements by Jerry Jones. I mean, how many times since the playoffs have you heard Cowboys are all in? It's like
At least 10.
every other day. Hey,
Yeah.
the Minnesota Vikings just got a new porta potty in the back. The Cowboys didn't get one. I thought you guys were all in. It's like, come on,
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah.
It's day one of free agency.
Mm-hmm.
The smart moves are made after that. I want to see if the Cowboys, how they draft, who they pick up later on. Cowboys need depth. Depth is the key to this season for them. Taking care of some of their guys and getting quality backups. That's what I want to see. Plus addressing the running game. Dallas cannot go anywhere without having a solid running game. And right now they don't have that.
Mm-hmm.
Most likely they'll address that in the draft. So,
well, but they're all in. So if they're not doing something right now, but I'm sure they're gonna do something later because they're all in.
And that's the pressure sometimes because this media focus
Mm-hmm.
and everything. Everyone keeps asking, "Are you all in? All in? All in? All this?" You can kind of bait Jerry into making a move he doesn't want to make because the media focuses on him so much that he's like, eventually everyone keeps asking this. He's like, man, we got to make a big splash. And that's where you make the mistake.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what.
It won't be the last time we talk about this.
No, absolutely not. It definitely won't be the last time we talk about this. No. All right, guys. Well, with that, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to be talking about Wembanyama's path to the playoffs next season. So stick around.